Okay, so now below it, let's add a sized box and give it a height. I will choose 30 also. Let's copy this and paste it again and choose 40. And between it, let's initialize or maybe an outline button for the Google sign-in. And for sure later we will implement it using Firebase. So in here, let's say outline button and give it a few parameters. Let's add a comma in here and let's give it a shape of stadium border like this. And in here, let's say highlight border color. So once the user press on it, the border color will be changed. I will choose colors dot red dot shade 900, this one, and let's give it border side, and we need to initialize border side and give it a width. I'll give it 2 and a color. The color for sure will be red. So in here, colors dot red like this. Here it is. The color of the borders is changing, but it doesn't appear well. Maybe if we change it like this. Yeah, I will change it to 200 like this. Okay, so last thing is the child, and it will be text. Let's say Google Plus, like this. We can add some styling for it, but it is good like this. Now, beside of it, let's add a new icon or a new button to allow the user to continue as a guest. So in here, let's wrap it by a row and let's save it now. Let's add main axis alignment for it and say main axis alignment dot space around or evenly, it will be good. And I will copy this actually and paste it in here. And let's say in here, sign in as a guest, like this. Now let's change the border colors. I will choose the deep purple. And in here, let's say deep purple. Yep, so here it is. So later on, the user will be allowed to register with his email, do Google sign-in, or sign in as a guest. In here, we should add a, like this. Now, let's go back to the sign up button, and in here, let's wrap it by a row, and let's add icon. Let's say maybe feeder dot add. Let's search for user, and let's say this one. Let's give it a size of 20 and sized box between them and width of 5. And in here, we need to add main axis alignment to center, like this. I will choose 18 for this, like this. And we can actually copy it and paste it in here change this again to, oops, we need to copy it from here and paste it like this, and we need to change this to login. We need to rid of this, save it now. Here it is. Now the login, we can just say user or user check, for example. No, let's keep it user like this. Now we need to work on the interesting part of it. Let's fix this wallpaper in here. So let's change this placeholder. Save it now or restart it. Change this to cover. So here it is. It looks way more better now with the cover in here. Let's uncomment this, and now the interesting part. So now to allow this image to move, we need to initialize, or we need to add a mixin to our class. So in here, let's say with ticker provider state mixin. And we need to initialize two things in here. The first one is the animation controller to control when the animation starts and when it will be finished. Let's say in here animation controller like this. We need to initialize it in the end state later. And in here we need to initialize animation and give it double and name it animation like this. Now in the end state we need to initialize it. So let's say animation controller dot or equal to animation controller, and let's give it to the fifth thing, and let's give it duration 20 seconds like this. And we need to initialize the animation. So in here animation, it will be equal to a curved animation. The parent will be this animation controller, and we need to initialize this curve. Simply let's choose the curve. I prefer the linear one. You can change it if you want. Let's add a comma in here. And let's add a listener and call set state in here. And at the end of this bracket in here, we need to add a status listener by calling it like this. And in here, let's say animation status, and inside of it we need to do a small check to check whether the animation is active or not. So in here we call the animation status if it is equal to animation status dot completed. It is similar to the stream builder, which is I will explain it later in this course. So if this is the case, we call the controller and call the reset method for it, and then start the animation again, just like this. Now below it, let's initialize that, just like this. Now once the end state starts, the animation will be started directly once we open this screen. And once the status is completed, the animation will be reset and started again. We need to fix this just like this. Now we need to use this controller actually. So let's copy it. But before that we use it, we need to dispose it. So we need to call the dispose method, and in here let's say animation controller dot dispose like this. Now for the alignment in here, which is I talked about it in the first of this tutorial, let's say fraction offset, and we need to give it the animation dot value and pass in 0 in here, just like this. I will restart it now. So here it is. That's how we do the animation. Now we need to do the other interesting part also. So once user refresh it or close the application or open it again, this image will be changed. For that we can do a small trick. We can get many of these images URL and initialize a list. For that I initialized a list already, contains some images URLs. I will initialize it in here, and in here instead of this URL we can call images and give it index of 0. Let's restart it now. So this image will be always appear. If I change it to 1, the other image appeared. So we need to do something to do it automatically. Let's cut it and initialize it in here on the top of the screen, and in the init state we can do an easy thing. So let's say images dot shuffle in here, and this will do the trick. So this method will shuffle those 4 URLs or those 4 strings, and in here we are calling always the image of index 1. And once the list is being shuffled, the index 1, so this URL may not be at this index. So that's why the background may change. I will restart it now and let's test it. So here it is. It's changed actually. Now actually this placeholder is quite annoying, so I will get rid of it. I will start it now. Yep, and here it is. So in the next videos we will implement the login design and the sign up design. So stay tuned.